All right. Well, unbeknownst to the audience, after some extreme audio difficulty, here we are. We're kicking it off.
Yeah, a bit annoying. I'm sorry to Pat. I wasted a
Oh, man,
bit of time here messing with some new earphones, ear pods, but no luck.
all good. Gave some time for my lunch to digest, and I'm perfect here.
I'll
So
say
before,
too, just
oh,
before we get started, that I'm a little disappointed. Pat and I, unbeknownst to each other, we had the same uniform on, with just the classic white tee. But
it
Pat
was
couldn't handle it. He couldn't
unacceptable.
handle the twinning. So
It was unacceptable. So I had to make a little emergency call here. But yeah, so we'll get into the show. We got a good topic, and I don't know your answers. You don't know mine. But before we do that, I'll do the housekeeping. Appreciate you, everybody. You want to help keep supporting the show, go to verynotRandom.com. And you know what? Not just support the show, support your own fitness, your own gains and improvement.
mm,
I mean, we've got VNR
yeah, do it for
cycles that
you.
automatically upload to the app and then just take all the thought out of it. And you can follow a 6, an 8, a 12-week program to get better at the jump rope, improve your engine with a 1.5-mile run, or a course we have that is running, biking, and rowing. There's on-ramp programs. There's a whole bunch of things under the bucket of get your first strict pull-up, kipping pull-up, bar muscle-up, ring dip, handstand walk, a lot of cool stuff. And then, just some good old get strong barbell work stuff. So check all that out. Then, if you are a gym owner, any sort of gym where people are just getting after it, you've got to do all the behind the scenes stuff, right? You got to have workout tracking for your clientele. You got to have gym management, and you have to have billing. And btwb has an all-in-one solution for gym owners that seamlessly integrates all those on the same platform. And look, chances are, if you're on some other platform for billing, some other platform for something, it's probably kind of doing the job, but then you got to use 2 or 3 other things. This is all in one. And let's be honest, go to the btwb Instagram account and see all like the updates they're doing. They got like this new like chat, like AI chat feature where you can like check out your data. Like no one's doing what they're doing. So yeah, switching anything is a pain in the butt, but get it over with. Come over to the home team for the big win and have a blast. So that's if you are a gym owner, go to btwb.com and check out the all-in-one. And then I've been interviewing gym owners using the all-in-one. And so if you are a gym owner that has been using the all-in-one and I haven't interviewed you yet, please email me and then we'll chat. And my email is pat.sherwood@btwb.com. And so there you go.
The future is now, Pat. AI to lead your training. My goodness.
I mean,
What do they
look,
think of next?
if you're on some other software platform, you're basically the equivalent of like using dial-up internet, riding a
Just a
dinosaur around
caveman.
with a fax machine in your lap. I mean, come on. Let's get this show moving here. Give your members and give yourself what you need. Okay, here is the question that we have today, and is the person's name attached? I don't believe it is. It says, "Hey guys, got a question I'd love for you to riff on. What quality of life improvements do you think are a side benefit of doing CrossFit? Obviously, increased work capacity and health is good, but what other benefits do you see? I'm a pastor and I see so much overlap between my faith and the things I've learned through CrossFit. I also believe that my faith has increased as a direct result of some lessons learned from suffering through a workout, learning to help others in their struggles, etc. So I wonder, what other non fitness benefits do you think cross over into everyday life that would be a good selling point for the average person to consider when they're thinking through all their different fitness options? Thankful for what you both do. P.S. Boz was my flow master back at Hyperfit in Ann Arbor for my level 1 in 2011.
Wow, dating both of us there. I appreciate it. No, that's great. That's really cool. I love anytime I get to connect digitally or otherwise with somebody who, back in the day, I got to be a part of their seminar. That's a really cool feeling. So yeah, right on.
And many a seminar went down at that facility.
Yeah, Hyperfit, man, dude. I remember we did some nasty workouts at lunchtime there and in the morning prior to the seminars. Boy, yeah, some good times there. The
I
first time I met
remember
James Hobart when he did his level 1 back in the day. What was that, Hyperfit?
I remember Doug Chapman, who was Hyperfit, and he was talk about ahead of the power curve. I don't know if he was just a user of the product or an early investor? If he's an early investor, he's probably got a yacht and a helicopter right now. Because, like, 18 years ago, I swear, he was like walking through a seminar. I'm like, what are you wearing on your feet? He's like, they're Crocs. I'm like, Crocs? Well, what are those hideous, weird rubber things? And he's like, oh, they're great. I mean, this was like so long ago, it's crazy. And now they're everywhere. So, man, Doug, I hope you got in early in the company. You'd be on easy
Yeah.
street right now.
Pretty sure DeGane was another early adopter of the Crocs as well. Might be a Michigan thing. Who knows?
Yeah, and here's the deal with DeGane. If you okay, if you are like 195-pound psychotic collegiate wrestler, you can wear whatever you want, and no one's going to give you
Fair.
that much of
Yeah.
a hard time.
Yeah. Who's saying anything at that point?
Hey, Joe, those look great. They really bring out your eyes.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, thoughts on the benefits of working out and doing CrossFit other than more fitness and more health?
Well, hey man, this immediately puts me in the mind frame of, something that Greg said early on, which was, look, I know how to make you fit. I'm paraphrasing right now, but the gist was, I know how to make you fit. I'm going to, expand your general physical preparation. The overlap into your real life is going to be so profound that you will not believe me if I tell you all the other benefits that will be a side product of you getting fitter. So I'm not going to. His line was something along the lines of, I will guarantee that you will get better if you pursue CrossFit. What better is going to be defined by you. Write down
Mm.
anything that you want, kind of to be improved in your life. And let's talk again in 6 months. And you tell me if that thing has not improved as a byproduct of you getting here and getting a little bit more disciplined and getting a little fitter. So that's immediately where my mind jumps. And I guess what I'm trying to say in that is that it's nothing new that, hey, this is integrated. If you choose to be disciplined and get yourself together and get into gym and push out the boundaries of your fitness, you should not be surprised that there will be other avenues of your life that are affected in ways that you probably couldn't even see coming. This is not a unique or new observation. So cool to see that kind of like what is old is new again come back around.
I forgot that when you paraphrase that, it brought it all right back to me. That didn't pop into my head when this question first came up, but it's perfect. And I can 100% recall that now. And it is spot on. I kind of scratched down a handful of things, some of which I think I've chatted on before, some of which maybe not. And they're in no particular order. Um, but the first thing I said is I think it's just beneficial in general to do hard things, to be the
Yep.
sort of individual that does hard things, and not just hard things because you have to. I don't know, your car's buried in snow, you have to shovel your driveway. You don't want to, so you're forced to do that. But like working out, you're not forced to work out. Like, so you're voluntarily choosing to not pursue some like pleasurable leisure activity. You are voluntarily pursuing to like tiptoe into the pain caves, throw some loading on the bar, get your heart rate up, sprint, whatever it is, and that, no matter what you're doing for physical fitness, like, good for you, you're on the home team, you're not just sitting on the couch. But let's also have some real talk. If you're casually just working your life away on the elliptical while reading Better Homes and Gardens, well, that's great. Your heart rate's not at a resting heart rate. That's easier to talk yourself into than Fran. It just is. Okay. I mean, so if you are the sort of individual that is willingly pursuing constantly varied functional moves at high intensity, yeah, you've got a special level of discipline, which is also really beneficial in this world, and you can do hard things voluntarily. So, on top of getting fitter, faster, and stronger, that's a good characteristic to develop.
Yes. And I had something similar written down, which was the way that you view and frame challenges fundamentally changes once you start engaging in a challenging program like CrossFit. And to expand on what you said there, I think it goes beyond just the immediate day to day. I choose to do this challenging session. there's a bigger picture there where you understand progression because you've dealt with that before. You understand that it might take years in some cases of commitment and very incremental progress to get to a big long-term goal. And the physical nature of CrossFit being what it is, like that's inescapable. Like nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody. There are very few among us that step into the CrossFit gym and just immediately can do all the skills that are going to be asked of
Mhm.
you. That's like you're a unicorn if that's
Yeah,
the case.
man.
And good for you, more power to you. But for most of us, it's an uphill slog to develop things like a muscle up, to get upside down on your hands, to lift heavier than you've lifted before with lifts that you've probably never done. These things take years to develop fully. And so getting in the headspace that it's not just a challenge today, but hey, I've got to commit to bite-sized chunks over a long period of time in a broad range of different activities, like that's a different mentality. And on a personal level, I find that spills over to things that I want to do outside the gym. Hey, I've got a long-term project. Yeah, I understand, it's not going to happen today, number one, and I can accept that. And number two, I'm okay with incremental progress because I know that's part of the deal. And I've experienced that in this other aspect. So I think that, being up to the challenges is beyond just that one single session type of attitude as well.
Yeah, the challenge is good. It can make other things easier. What's that funny thing? I'll see it as a meme every now and then that people say, the best thing about starting your day with a run is, nothing else is going to suck that much.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly right. Yeah, yeah.
get it out of the way. I also think, and again, I know that I'm biased, but that's okay. That specifically choosing a style of training that forces you to exert yourself and get profoundly uncomfortable, that, and for me anyway, that positive habit of doing that on a regular basis helps me create other positive habits or make sure other positive habits don't fall off in my life. So, for example, if I'm just doing low intensity stuff or I'm just lifting heavy weight or I'm just, doing that kind of stuff, you know, if I have a couple extra bowls of ice cream each week, this doesn't really affect my walk around the neighborhood. It doesn't really affect my, you know, deadlift strength cycle that I'm on, quite frankly. But if I'm doing like 50 burpee box jump overs for time or 6 by 400 meter repeats on the track, before I throw down like 4 pounds of fettuccine Alfredo, I'm going to think about, I'm going to think about what I have coming up. And it's probably
Yeah.
going to point me towards chicken breast and vegetables with a nice glass of water because I know what I'm about to do hurts enough after a great night's sleep and when my nutrition's on point. But if I walk into it tired like a hungover, drunken pirate from just eating just nothing but mischief and sins for the last week, it's going to be a living hell. And I don't want to do that to myself, or every now and then I do. And then it resets me like, ooh, nutrition's gotten off track. I got to get this back on it. So what I do in the gym also really helps me pay attention to my food, pay attention to my sleep, pay attention to things like that. And so there's a nice kind of symbiotic relationship there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the next big one on my list has to do with just this the grounding nature that I think intense activity brings to one's life. And I don't mean that in like a real woo-woo way. People talk about grounding and, you got to stay present. And those are all great catchphrases, I suppose. Nothing wrong with them. However, to make it a little bit more tangible, we've all got things in our life that we would wish were different. We've all got responsibilities and family things and situations that are beyond our control that at times are difficult to manage, And if you're anything like myself, it can be difficult to find respite from some of those things that feel like they're always immediate. But when you are in the gym and you're doing something that is truly challenging and demands your full attention because of the
Mm,
technical requirements and because it's so difficult that you really can't be anywhere else, quote unquote, it does offer a reprieve for however brief amount of time that is, where you cannot be thinking about, hey, I got some money troubles, or oh man, what am I going to do about problem X in my life? It is kind of a nice little readjustment for the day when you're like, okay, I'm brought back into myself. This is all that matters for the next 45 minutes or an hour. I physically cannot be somewhere else because this is
Mhm.
just so demanding of my immediate attention. And that goes worlds when, life isn't stacking up in your direction, which for all of us, that is going to come at a certain point. You're going to have moments and stretches of time where things are not just lining up the way that you'd hoped, maybe through no fault of your own, even. And
Yep.
so to have that pressure relief valve, I think is vitally important. And I think it's funny in my own life, because I've been doing CrossFit for so long and I've taken it for granted at certain times in my life. And, I almost forget how powerful that can be to have that time where you don't have to be totally engaged with these other aspects of your life. And so giving that to yourself, I think is really important. And just recognizing that, like, yeah, that can be the thing that helps you outside of the gym tackle some of these other elements that you may not be so thrilled about. It can just be just enough of a break to be back in the fight, so to speak.
Yeah, when life is lifing pretty hard, it gives you a little bit of a, and that probably ties in to one that I was going to have, which I think maybe it does. I just wrote down mental health. I mean, just for me, and I've said this before, I swear I walk into the gym just as much for the between the ears pressure release as any physical capacity and long-term health. And I don't know if it's 50-50, but I feel like it's got to be darn near close. Like they both are equal in my mind. Um, and I'm just like I've said previously, I'm a better human being. I'm more fun to be around. Take that for what it's worth. You know, just
Just a ray of
positive,
sunshine, Pat.
slower to anger. Like whatever you want to say. Like everything is better for myself and those that have to deal with me on a regular basis when I get that time in the gym and I get to exert myself and I get to just lay on the floor for a bit, sweating, breathing heavy, and just kind of recover for a bit. Like the day is better. A little bit of stress or something that I feel like I was carrying around a bit maybe doesn't feel quite as heavy afterwards. And that's one of the coolest things. And maybe this actually ties on to a show by the time this releases, we did a couple shows ago on like aging and fitness and all that stuff. Like those benefits that I just said, which I'm going to say are equal to any strength and conditioning gains that I'm looking for. Uh, I get those benefits and that mental health break or release, regardless of whether or not I PR, regardless of the load on the bar, regardless of anything. Like it's totally doesn't matter. It just matters that I get in there. I did some great physical activity. The heart rate got jacked up. I moved around some load, barbell, swung a kettlebell, jumped in something. I ran. Like I don't even have to run the clock to get those benefits. Like that to me is also why I'm going to pursue this for the rest of my life. Like I can't see that going away. So the mental health side for me is also quite large.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I had that framed a little bit differently, but similar theme as just, emotional stability.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's kind of I mean, that's a very dense topic if you want to get into to all of it, but I've absolutely had the same experience where, you fall into the habit of not working out for a period of time. And all of a sudden, man, you start to recognize how raw some of the other aspects of life can be. When you're working out consistently, you give yourself that release valve. It does create a bit of a buffer between you and reactivity in a
hmm
general sense, which I think is really great. And it doesn't happen in a way that is negative, because I think there's a certain subset of anything, be it exercise, which can be addictive, or substances or whatever, where that the user, so to speak, is looking to kind of numb the experience of life,
mm.
right? I don't think that exercise, when done in a healthy way, like this intense exercise that can kind of give you that
It's a good
that
point.
relief, you are buffered from some of the ups and downs of life, but you are not numb to it. You still can experience it. You can just
Still
process it
feeling it.
better. Exactly. Yeah. You learn to identify what the truly impactful things are and what things are that maybe they don't matter as much as they do in your head. So it's a good leveling.
The next one I have, I think it's interesting because it creates two things which um, potentially at first glance could seem like they're opposites, but yet we get them both. The first is I feel like it just increases your self confidence, which is a good thing. What's that old Deion Sanders like? Look good, feel good, play good.
Yep.
If you're looking good, you're happy, you're performing well, you probably stand a bit taller, you carry yourself well, you're used to doing hard things, you're living a life of discipline, you're feeling good because you're eating well, you got sleep happening. Like that's just probably going to inspire a little bit of confidence in how you conduct yourself with so many other things in the world, which is great. Now, confidence times 1,000 might come off as cocky, right? But what's great is this fitness can give you confidence, but I also feel like at the same time, it delivers incredible amounts of humility because
If
because
you're doing it right.
because variance is a wonderful thing. And if you're just not doing stuff that you're good at all the
Yeah.
time, like you said, you're going to walk into the gym on a regular basis and struggle and have to grind for days, weeks, or months for a load, a skill. How hard is it to put 2 pounds on your shoulder press after you've been shoulder pressing for 10 years? Like, whatever it happens to be, you're going to get humbled, especially if you're applying yourself, you're trying to press down the accelerator and burn something down and PR something difficult from last time, it ain't always going to go your way. Sometimes the bar is going to feel like it weighs twice as much as it should. Like that's a humbling experience when you're like, oh, I should have deadlifted this today and I was way off. Like
Mm.
those days are good. It both gives you confidence and it gives you humility. So I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation the other day, way back at the old San Francisco CrossFit days. We were really adamant because our location was so austere and it was difficult to find. It was bare bones. There was not a lot of niceties around training there. And so we figured, hey, man, if you're going to show up in that environment, we're going to do our best to make you feel welcome.
Mm,
And it was a standing rule that anybody who showed up, if you didn't recognize them, and not you, the coach, but you, the average member, it was your job to go up and shake hands and say hello and make them feel like, hey, yeah, you're in the right spot. Now, there are plenty of people in those early days when CrossFit was still pretty raw that were a little timid about getting their feet wet. I can remember distinctly we had this one woman, I won't name her, hopefully she's still out there doing it. But the first 4 or 5 months that she was doing CrossFit, I don't know if I exchanged 3 sentences with her. She was so
okay.
timid and just very kind of shy personality type, etc. But hey, to her
Kept
credit, she
showing up.
showed up. Yep, she did the thing. And again, that membership welcome, like everybody knew who she was, and welcomed her in with open arms. And sooner or later, I think it was probably about the 6 month mark, she started seeing some progress. And then the next thing you know, she was the one that was extending out to the people that would come in.
That's
She was the
cool.
first one to go shake hands. And after about a year, she was a different person, like the way she carried herself, just the level of confidence she had in the world at large completely changed. And seeing that as a coach is like, man, that's one of the coolest things. Like to me, that was better than any PR that she might have had at the gym. Although, of course, you're going to celebrate those too. That was just the coolest thing ever. Like to be able to witness that long term kind of personality reveal. I wouldn't even say change, right? It just revealed
Mm.
some of these layers that maybe she didn't even know were within herself. And I mean, that was such a cool byproduct. And that's another story that is so common inside the CrossFit gym when people are given that opportunity to be supported like that. So
I like
yeah, it's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I got a couple more left here. This next one, I know that I guess this is should be like maybe it is one of the obvious ones the author wouldn't want me to say or whatnot, but it's near and dear to my heart personally, and that's because I don't feel like I would get the same benefit doing a different fitness program, and that is range of motion. Especially
Mm,
for somebody
yeah.
like me, that I've been very mean to my body over the course of the years. I've been very open. I got terrible shoulders, can barely get my shoulders overhead. I got to keep using them. Um, broke my pelvis, had a total hip replacement and all this stuff. So like range of motion in my hip is something that I need to stay off of. I know what it's like when that goes away, and I don't want that to happen again. And so doing movements that force me to execute a full range of motion through all
Yeah.
my joints is a really, really big deal to me. And CrossFit delivers the goods for that. I will regularly, even if it's not specifically required in the warmth that I'm going to do that day, probably 3 times a week, I make sure in my warm up, just with an empty bar, that I do overhead squats. They look like you pulled a corpse out of a graveyard and forced it into the position. No one's ever called me a beautiful mover. But the mere fact that I'm able to still do it is because I still engage in these activities. I make myself, again, through the discipline, everything that we said before, to get with that empty bar and just, a couple sets of 10, couple sets of 15 or whatnot. And I can tell if I blow it off for a week and then I pick it up the next week, I'm like, ooh, I can tell that I missed 1 week of doing this. Like the rust starts to come on really soon. And so, again, engaging in a protocol that forces me regularly to move through a full range of motion, I think is also one of the mission critical things that I want to keep doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, that's going to translate out to whatever you want to do outside the gym. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I had one, kind of two more actually. One that's, I guess, a little more specific and one that's a little more nebulous. I'm going to start with the nebulous one and hopefully I can articulate it well. But it has to do with just being confronted with the impact that you can have on others, I think is one of the most profound outlets that the CrossFit gym offers. And that
Mm,
happens in a couple of different ways. The coach who's at the front of the room, obviously it is their job to have an impact on their athletes in a physical sense. We just talked about, how that can bleed out into other areas like self-confidence and the way you carry yourself and revealing some of these personality traits that maybe you didn't even know. So that's the obvious one or more obvious. But I would say too, if you're just the rank and file and you happen to work out in a group class with somebody else, or maybe you have a garage gym and you've got your neighbor that comes over, just the framing around that impact that you can have on other people is, I think, important to recognize because that support structure that you've got, whether you know it or not, you are positively impacted by having a little bit of expectation placed on you.
mm,
Hey, my buddy's going to be at the 6 a.m. class. I want to see him. I want to get there. That's great. But that's reciprocated the opposite direction too, right? He's going to have that same kind of like, oh man, I get to see Pat. I want to work out with him. Or if I don't see him for a little bit, there's that little kind of subtle social pressure that helps to just keep your head in the game. Um, and, not to get on my high horse here too much, Pat, but in this digital world, it's amazing how quote unquote connected we are, but yet you hear these statistics about people are feeling more isolated than ever. There's, depression on the rise, all of
mm-hmm.
these kind of, societal issues that start to bubble up with people feeling disconnected from one another. Man, it is such a simple and powerful thing to just be in the same room, supporting each other through something difficult like a CrossFit workout. And that impact can really be profound, even if it seems relatively benign day to day. So whether you're a coach at the front of the class or whether you're just somebody there who creates the regular fabric of that training space, whatever that training space happens to be, that's so important. And it's so easy to just gloss over that. But man, it's such a big one. And I feel especially now that it's even more important that people just have that opportunity to get together and support each other in those small ways. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
100%, man. Yeah. And even if it's just, if you and I aren't in the same physical space, we were both going to do something like, post it on btwb and you saw that mine was missing. I feel some like,
Sure.
you're like, what happened? You're like, oh, I blew it off yesterday. You like, you did? Like, it's that little positive pressure can be a good thing to help you just, keep getting in there, keep making some good decisions. 100%. Yeah. I think the final thing that I have is just, I would say specifically a side benefit of working out to the parents out there, like your kids see what you do.
Mm.
Like it's
Oh yeah.
really, it's a huge, huge thing. We've got two teenagers now that are off doing their own thing, but our youngest, she's a little bit over 4 years old. And man, she's fascinated by what I do in the gym. Fascinated. And I'm picking her up from school and driving home. I'm like, hey, dad's gonna get in a workout. Now she's be like, well, I want to work out with you. And so she'll always be in there. Now her workout might be sitting on the ground coloring, but she's like in the gym. She like doesn't get rattled when the barbell drops. Like, she knows all the stuff. She knows, if I'm out there doing something simple, doing like lunges in the grass, she'll run out and start doing lunges next to me, and she calls them leg bombs, which are fantastic. I'm gonna coin a term for a workout with this leg bombs. So she's like, we're gonna do some leg bombs. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do some leg bombs. And like the other day, I was doing pull-ups and she wanted to go up and do a set of 5 pull-ups, which of course she can't do, but I just, picked her up there and helped her through, 5 pull-ups, and I'm like, just to develop as a young person, like, you know what's going on in the gym. And, she hears her mom and I talk about food, and we certainly don't want to give her any food issues, but, she'll be like, oh, those are treats, like they're delicious. We don't eat too much of those. Like, oh, that's good for me, like fruits and vegetables. Oh, that's the meat. Like, she's starting to get these things which I did not certainly even have any exposure to at 4 years old. That's for darn sure. So she starts to get those things into her head, just not forcing it on anybody. She's just observing what happens when your parents are engaged in a lifestyle of being physically fit. And by
Yeah.
just being on the periphery of that,
Yep.
these things soak in, and that's a huge benefit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, man. Yep. Well, I got two more. Again, one of them is just a little more kind of outside the box, so to speak. Um, but kind of trailing with this, you never know what kind of impact you have on people, even if it just seems kind of benign day to day. Um, I think that the CrossFit gym, in particular, or being part of like a garage gym community or whatever online community, doesn't matter. Just the introduction to people from all walks of life and the exposure that you get to that on a bit of a common ground, I think is really cool. And in my own life, it certainly opened up some doors that I wouldn't have expected. You kind of like we joke about it, right? It's like you got the CrossFit Mafia. Because when
Hmm.
you're working out together, at a certain point you get to know each other. And you're like, oh man, this guy's a plumber, and that he's a head of surgery at some major hospital, and they're just hanging out together for that moment in time. So you make some really unique connections, and you learn through that. At least I feel you should learn from that. That at the end of the day, like, hey man, people are just trying to do their thing, and everybody who's in that kind of mindset to just do the thing and get a little bit better and support each other. Um, if you can get over yourself, they're very open to helping you in
Hmm.
ways that you might not even expect. And in return, you're probably going to be willing to help them should they ever need it. And I don't know, man, that sort of thing is so cool to me. And it's hard to quantify that sort of thing. But like, man,
Agreed.
I just I can't overstate enough how awesome that environment is. That the only prerequisite is like, yeah, we both have the mentality that we're going to show up and do the thing. That's it. That's all that matters.
Yep.
I don't care about anything else. I don't even know what your politics are. Don't care.
Don't
I don't
care.
know. I don't know what your outlook on life is, except I do know that you are committed to this thing. You're committed to helping the other people in your immediate vicinity, and it's like, and that's enough. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
It's awesome that way. So,
It's so simple, and the simplicity is just beautiful. Just keep showing
yep,
up. We'll suffer together. We'll have some laughs, and I'll see you tomorrow.
yeah, yep,
And life's good.
yeah. I got one more. You got one
Yeah,
more?
yeah. No, no, I'm done. What's your last one?
Okay, my last one. This is a personal thing that I've noticed, and I think I might have mentioned it before, but it's really weird. When I go through periods of time where I haven't been working out or working out as much, and then I get back into the groove of things, my reaction time to the world around me is consistently very different. And I'm talking about benign things like, oh, I was about to knock over something on the counter and I caught it before I hit the ground. Or my technique for doing things, like jujitsu is a great example. It's just sharper, even though I might
Mm,
not have been specifically practicing that technique. Things just happen a little bit faster and a little bit more dialed in. I don't know what to attribute that to other than intense workout that has a technical demand to it.
walking the path, man. You're
Yep,
walking the path.
it spreads its wings to ways that you might not think about. And again, that's not a unique observation to me. Many people have talked about
Man,
that carryover.
I buy that 100%. I mean,
Yep.
as we all know, I have no scientific degree or background in any way, shape, or form, so allow me to speak well outside my purview. But I would just think, what you're doing if you're in the garage working out or at the affiliate working out with regards to, musculature,
Yep.
coordination, central nervous system, like, positive
Proprioception.
hormones that are flowing through your
Yep.
body. How in the world could, not regularly sharpening up the old central nervous system and having that cascade of hormones, how could that not
Yep.
positively affect everything else? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I notice it in some weird ways. I'll be on a motorcycle ride and I'm like, man, riding is really sharp right now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, And you can't pin it back to like, whoa, it's definitely that deadlift session I did. No, it's not that specific, but it's just one more way that that kind of general physical preparation can lend itself well to unexpected things.
How many years have you been riding?
I started riding motorcycles in 2003.
22 years. Um, do you miss now that you're in Tennessee? You can't split lanes anymore, right?
I do miss that. I'm not gonna lie, Pat. I do miss that. And hey, don't tell John Law, but every once in a while I do the old left look, left, right look, and just
Hmm.
let it rip. So
Yeah, when I did live in California, however long I lived in California, 7 years or whatnot, for and most of that I had a bike for, and I couldn't have imagined
yeah,
living where I lived if I couldn't have split traffic. It just, I mean, that was such a
it's the
lifesaver
best. It's the
all the
best.
time. The best, and it's fun. I mean,
Sure is.
you gotta be on your game
Oh yeah,
because things happen, but it's fun. And every now I don't have a bike anymore, but every now and then, we'll be sitting in traffic around here, and there'll be some motorcycle sitting in traffic, and I'll look at it, I'm just like, you poor soul. You just
just
have to
go,
sit
man.
here
Be
like the
free.
rest of us.
Be free.
You can't just scoot down the middle. It's so bizarre. I think California is the only state that allows that, isn't it?
I
I
I'd
don't
have to
know of
check.
another one.
I think there might be one or two more, but that's a good question. I'm not sure.
It's rare, that's for sure. So, anyway, all right. Well, yeah, hopefully we answered this lady or gentleman's question, and it helped them out. But yeah, those are our takes. So if anybody out there has their takes on side benefits of working out beyond the obvious fitter, faster, and stronger, and better health, leave them in the comments. Find this show in the btwb YouTube channel. Post your thoughts on this. Do you have an idea, topic, or question for an upcoming show? Post that as well. We check those out. You can also just go to the Very Not Random Instagram account, post there, or you can send a direct message on the Very Not Random Instagram account if you want to be more anonymous, and that will make its way to us as well. So, for Adrian Bosman, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we will see you next time.